staff up here dragging us out. Is there anybody here that really needs to go for it? If Paul wanted to stay a little bit later, I'm not pressuring you to stay later, Paul, but that's a possibility. So just know that maybe if they come to the door and say get out, then we gotta go. If they don't, then we might have a little more time. So Paul, Finck, I want to introduce you. Mike, you got the thing rolling?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So I want to introduce you to Paul Finck, who's made a huge difference in my life, and I want to thank you very much, Paul. I know you probably go, damn, but you haven't spent that much time with me. The wisdom that you put out makes more of a difference, and you probably really do know it, to people than most people would think it does. So thank you. Okay? Very much. So come on up here and introduce yourself. And
well, I make it easy. Let's go to videotape.
Do you want the most out of this weekend? Yes. Do you want to get the most out of this weekend in all avenues and all aspects of your life? Yes. Do you want to continue down the same path you have been? Do you want to be getting different results than you've been getting in the past? More results in your sales and your business? It is time to do it different. My goal for you this weekend is to bring you through this process so that you go from unconscious and confidence to conscious confidence, and deliver your conscious confidence, bring the right through to conscious or unconscious confidence. With a large family, 6 kids, 3 sets of twins, I had to figure out a way immediately to create the lifestyle I really wanted. Write this down. This is an and world, not an either or world.
How are you?
Great.
We are here to talk about abundance, talk about domination in your marketplace, talk about what you're really doing in your life to create a difference. It's the journey I've been on for, and I'll talk about where it really started with me. Approximately the last 10 to 15 years, I've been on this journey of abundance, and it started in the real estate game. I'll talk about that. And then it progressed onto multiple different avenues, multiple different streams of income, and I created the life that I really wanted. We were just looking for that abundance in their life. Raise your hand up high. Who here is looking for, well, maybe it's not just abundance in money, how about lifestyle? You want a little bit different lifestyle than you may be living now? Maybe more freedom, more time to travel, more time to spend with your family. How about the ability to build a team that can support you, a team that can do things while you're off doing that lifestyle, the team that can support you, that you can delegate things to, that you can leverage. Who's looking for that? That's a good one. Who would like me to share some of my stories as to how I accomplished all of those things in the last 10 years? Raise your hand up. Awesome. Well, then we're in the right place. I promise you, and this is what I look to deliver now and frankly every time we connect with one another, is helping you increase your profits, increase your bottom line, increase your monetization of what you do, whether it's in real estate or anything else. Create that lifestyle and concentrating on what the results are going to be. Talking about how to dominate your marketplace and get balance in your life, and also, well, teach you how to do this, what I call the Maverick way. And why the Maverick way? And I'll talk about some components of why Maverick. Maverick means to do it different, to do it different than most people will do it. And dare to do it different and create that massive success. I look back and I really tagged onto and latched onto this term of maverick as I reflected as to where I had been, where I had come from. I have had a journey which has been a long one. I'll talk about my 30-plus years as an entrepreneur. And what that has brought me to and concluded that I have looked at things different for a long time and done things slightly different, which has created a different life than most people are used to. And that difference is what's created my success. It's also created success for a few people you may recognize in multiple different industries, how they revamped the industry, revamped how they approach business, and created a mega shift, not just in their own life, in all of our lives and around the world. That's what mavericks do. Before I go too far into the details of what I'm going to teach today, I think it's important to know who I am and where this voice comes from. When we get advice, where do we get advice from? For instance, you want marital advice. You're having a challenge with your spouse and you want somebody to share this with and find out, all right, what should I do? Who do we turn to? Go to a close friend, our family members, the buddy who's been divorced 3 times. What does he know about building a great relationship? But that's who we turn to, isn't it? Why? They're not the experts. They don't know what the heck they're talking about in relationships, but that's who we would turn to, isn't it? How about financial advice? Let's get real. Who do we turn to in that case? We want to know whether something's a good opportunity. We want to know whether that opportunity is something we should go forward with. Who do we turn to? Same people. We usually don't go to our banker, do we? Oh man, I've got this new opportunity, and you go running to your banker as your first choice, right? No, you go to your friends, your buddies, your family members, your parents who haven't been able to put 2 nickels together their whole life, but they're the ones who know when a good $1 million opportunity comes your way, and they'll recognize it just like that. What I know is that I've learned to grab hold of advice from people that walk their talk. People who really are the living examples of that component. Now, does that mean that you need to learn how to be successful and learn relationships and learn good nutrition and all the components of your life from one person? No, you can pick slices. People may be good at finances, only they don't know nutrition at all and they are out of control in that field. That's okay. Learn to pick your slice of advice. Does that make sense? Your slice of the pie. Where you want to get your advice from and what they're good at. So I want to share with you some of my history and some of my stories so that you know whether to accept advice from me or not. Whether I'm the person to share with you how to create success or whether, you know what, I'm not walking my talk, I'm not fitting, it's just not fitting for you, there's not a good connection. In which case, don't listen to me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So here's some of my background. I have been seen on Good Morning America, CNN, Today Show, where else? News, AP Press all around the world, Parents Magazine even, for some obvious reasons that you may have gotten already. And now I'm the Maverick Millionaire. I started off 30 years ago as an entrepreneur. Yes, I am that old. Turned 52, about to turn 53, and over 30 years ago graduated from college, and right out of college became an entrepreneur. Right out of college I've been doing either straight commission sales or had my own business consistently for 30 years. What does that mean? It means I've been paid my value every step of the way for 30 years. Who wants to get paid their value? Raise your hand up high. Awesome. A couple people didn't raise their hand. Maybe a cut and pay. I get it. That was a joke. It's as good as it gets, guys. So 30 years as an entrepreneur building business. First major business was about 12 months after I graduated from college. And I've been doing either distribution companies, storefront companies, or straight commission and wholesale type of businesses the whole time. Along the way, I started off as a psychology major in college. Started off, thought I wanted to be a counselor and a psychologist. Then I went through a couple internships during college and realized that it was 24 hours, suicide watch, and low pay, and another 4, 8, or 12 years more of schooling. I said, maybe there's another way. And I started taking business classes and just finance classes and really get what business structures are all about. I started studying the human condition. I've always been fascinated with humans and human communication, human condition, and how we relate to one another. Went on and studied neuro-linguistic programming, got certified in that. Anybody know what that is? NLP? Awesome, a few of you. It is the communication between you and another human. It's also communication between you and, well, that chit-chat in your head. Yes, you all have it. You're not crazy. And how to get control of that. How to get control of that chit-chat internally, and then how to communicate effectively externally is really how to move forward, to influence, persuade, and to create those teams and those businesses that you all want. I went on and studied hypnotherapy, direct marketing, became a direct marketing leader. Anybody in multi-level marketing or direct marketing? Raise your hand up high. A couple people. And became a real estate investor. Became a real estate investor about 14 years ago. So I realized that real estate is the #1 way to create wealth, and you want to create abundance and wealth, pay attention to what's going on in the real estate market. Became a real estate investor. At this point, I've done everything from commercial to residential, short sale, wholesale, lease options, subject tos, done the gamut of different structures and types of real estate investing. Rehabs that weren't supposed to be rehabs, all of the above. And also went on and got my real estate license after I was a real estate investor. Any realtors in the room? Got a couple, awesome. Make sure to tone it down on insulting realtors. However, you're usually the cream of the crop who would be here. Most of them don't know what they're talking about. Who's experienced that? They don't know what they're talking about in the real estate investment world. They know how to drive someone around on a Saturday and Sunday and show them properties. However, when I started talking about real estate transactions like lease to own or even owner financing, they started self-destructing and shutting down and going, what's going on? I was curious, which is why I got my real estate license, was to find out why. Why they didn't know what they were talking about, and then I went through the licensing procedure and found out they're not taught anything. So it's very simple. What's the job of a realtor? Commission. What's the job of a realtor?
Show homes.
Show homes.
Houses.
No.
No?
No. I mean, is that what you were taught when you went through your real estate license class? You were taught how to show a home. What's the best way to move a person through the house to influence them to buy it? How to market a home, how to sell it. Is that what you were taught?
No.
No, what were you taught?
Useless information.
Useless information. You were taught how to protect the broker's license. That is your job. That's the only job of a realtor. Everything else is on your own accord. Everything else you have to figure out on your own. It was an amazing lesson to me that realtors are not trained to sell. They're not trained to market. They're trained to protect the license. Does that make sense? So I got it, and I wasn't interested in protecting someone else's license versus my own. So I really didn't use it that much. Used it for my own business or my own investments. I then went on and became a mortgage banker or a mortgage broker and a mortgage banker. Did that for several years. I call those my transition years. So I was transitioning from an old life to this new one. And I used that as a platform and a foundation to do that. Does that make sense? I went on then, and Well, did my real estate investing, which was the focus, build wealth. I did over $20 million in real estate transactions. That number is a little bit old at this point. I then went on and, well, became an international speaker and trainer, which is what I have continued to do for the last, 10, 11 years now. I've spoken all across the United States, Canada, Europe, South Africa. I've spoken in over 7 countries and 3 continents, and we continue to add to that list. Anybody want to be a speaker, by the way? Anybody here want to be a speaker? Interesting. Well, just curious, for the rest of you, how come you don't want to be a speaker? Number one, fear. They'd rather be in the box than give the eulogy. Got it. Yeah. So why is that the reason? Fear? It's share time. What do you think? No interest. Just it's outside of the box. It's not part of your journey. When you're in a networking group, for instance, and let's assume you have 100 people at a networking event, do you ever raise your hand and ask a question? Do you ever raise your hand and participate? As soon as you do, you are doing what? Speaking. So the definition of speaker can shift and change. However, how many of you actually do? You're in a group of 100 people. How many of you actually do? Raise your hand and actually participate fully. Actually ask those questions. How many of you have looked at it when you're in those rooms? How many have you counted how many people actually raise their hand and ask questions and participate? How many? Out of 100?
Several times.
So you do. How many other people do in the room? Is it the majority or the minority?
Minority.
Minority. Traditionally, it's about 5 to 10% of the room actually raise their hand and ask questions. When 5 to 10% of the room are doing it, who gets crowded? Who gets brought to attention? Who actually gets opportunities during the breaks? The people that talked or the people that didn't talk? That did talk. Those people are the ones that everyone else runs to. Everyone else circles around. Everyone else begins to, oh man, I want to do business with them. Why? Because they were outgoing, because they communicated, because as soon as you stand up as a speaker, it gives you what?
Authority.
Credibility, authority,
Respect.
instinct,
Respect.
respect. All those things just because you raise your hand and ask the question. Did the question have to be highly intelligent?
No.
Did it have to completely make sense and be on task?
No.
It just had to be something. You are the one of 10% instantly just by raising your hand. Who now wants to be a speaker? Now, you want to go tenfold. You want to actually be the one where they will run to your doorstep with every opportunity that they have. Be the lead speaker. Who is getting this? Am I teaching you things on dominating the marketplace already? For instance, I put out my hand and I said, all right, here I am here as an expert. I've done real estate for the last 14, 15 years. I have built abundance, over $20 million in real estate transactions over those years. Have a highly successful life. We'll talk about my adventures and what I've been able to accomplish over the last 14 years. Who here would love to be in business with me? Who here would love to do a deal with me? Raise your hand up. And if I said I would do a deal with anyone who puts their card in my hand, who would actually do that? And I would say, all right, my hand's here, and whoever can do this right away and put their card in my hand, I'll do a deal with. So I'm standing here, and I have my hand open, and anyone who puts their card in my hand, I'll actually do a deal with. So people normally would be wanting to put their card in my hand. And the question that I have for you is, why wouldn't you? I'm sorry? No card. Well, first lesson, you must have something to give. Why else wouldn't you put your card in my hand when I said I would do a deal with anyone who puts their card in my hand? I cannot hear you. This is power. Do you believe I stood here long enough I could get everybody in the room to put the card in my hand?
Yes.
Do you believe that sitting there not speaking, you're actually going to get more opportunities, or is there a possibility you'll get a lot less?
Yes.
Pay attention. These techniques are power. You stand up, you speak, you get people running to your doorstep with a whole lot of opportunity. Rather than, how much does it cost to market for your next opportunity? How much does it cost you? How much is it costing you to market to get an opportunity? Anybody know? For me, it was nothing. Just saying. Does this make sense? Pay attention. I went on and became a certified life coach, a business coach, master coach, business consultant. I also am a best-selling author. This was one of my first books, The Power of Mentoring. I'm in the middle of writing my next bestseller. How do I know it's going to be a bestseller already?
Because you believe it.
One, I believe it. Why else?
Because you've done it.
Because I've done it. Why else?
You said it's a bestseller.
I said it's a bestseller. Why else?
There are tricks to doing it and promoting it.
I would
on
prefer
the
to call them
internet.
systems and processes. Tricks nonetheless. Yes, there's a system to it. One of the things that I do when I coach and train people is I open the door, I pull back the curtain, in other words, and I show you, here's what the wealthy are doing. Here's what the people that are highly successful are doing. It's not hard. Everything I do, my 15, 16-year-olds can do. It's not difficult. It's just very different than most people think. And they don't realize that there's a system around it. It's not by, magic that someone becomes a bestseller. You can move it to happen instantly. I know the techniques, I know the tricks. Who thinks that's pretty cool? We would like to know those tricks and techniques. Systems, strategies. Who here wants to be a best-selling author? Raise your hand up high. Why would, not sure?
Well, an author, you mean writing books, right?
Yeah, write a book. Who here doesn't want to be a best-selling author? Raise your hand up high.
No.
How come?
I don't want to take the time.
Oh, take the time. Now, what would it do for you if you were a best-selling author?
Depends.
What do you think it would do?
Make money.
Promotion, help you make money.
It, again, positions you as a person of authority.
Positions you as a person of authority, credibility, expert status. You automatically, it's your calling card, it walks you in the door. So when you have a bestseller, or any book whatsoever, although we can drive almost any book to bestseller these days, you've got a best-selling book, now it's your calling card. Now it opens the doors. Now when people, even in the real estate market, can you imagine you're going to buy someone's home and they're deciding whether they can trust you or not? Or you're looking to sell yours and the buyer's contemplating whether you're really saying the truth. You do lease to owns and they must, there's a certain amount of buy-in of trust in that relationship. Do you think this will build it up for you? They look you up and they realize you've been an author. You give this to them as a parting gift after your meeting, or maybe to leave the meeting off with. Do you think, and when it's connected to real estate investing or real estate ownership, you think they might build you up compared to the person that they're looking at down the block or in the next neighborhood? Differentiation, huge way to dominate the market. Now, yes?
Got a question. Could writing a book also provide you more free time?
Could writing a book provide you more free time? What do you consider?
Meaning that if you made money from the book,
You don't make
you might have more free time?
Well, it depends. Like, I work about as to in my old life, I work about as hard. I make about 20 times what I used to make, but about the same. Because for me, I've got certain reasons to keep moving, keep creating more and more. I've got certain visions that want me to drive to this level. If this level is a satisfactory level for you and it's all up to you individually, well, then you would be able to work less. Or you keep shifting it up as I do, and I keep making more and more and more every year because I learn new techniques and strategies to keep maximizing my time, which is what you're referring to. Yeah, and creating that lifestyle. You see, the interesting part for me is it obvious I'm doing what I love to do? Yes. I love this. I am passionate about what I do every single day. And that passion means I never work a day in my life. Does that make sense? We'll talk more and more about that in just a moment. So, who here now wants to become a best-selling author? Raise your hand up high. Oh, and by the way, does it have to take that much time? I could show you a technique to create your best-selling book in about 3 to 10 days. Would that be too much time? Depending on how many hours per day. Would that be okay? There are techniques, there are strategies to go from here to there that is different than most people think. It's different than how the 40 hours a week, all year long, produces what for the average person? A paycheck. About how much of a paycheck? You make $80,000 a year, you are in the top 10% of our population. Beer thinks that's crazy. I just heard the stats with all that's going on the news. They're talking a lot about financial status and tax rates and all. Oh, well, they're only talking about increasing the taxes for the top 3%. Well, you know what they define the top 3% of the population as? Earning $200,000 a year or $250,000 a year as a couple. That's the top 3% of the population. Who here really is focused on getting to the top 3% of the population? Yes. You've got, or already is there and want to keep going further. Absolutely. I'll tell you the rest of my story. I've done over $15 million in informational products as well, and I've trained thousands, actually tens of thousands of people now all across the nation and around the world